Hey everybody, this is Brian with BearCards34 back with another video. Today I've got a bit of a mail day. Zach and Porter sent me something in the mail and I'm excited to see what they sent my way, as well as a couple little eBay purchases that I've had over the last little while. So I'll show those off. I will mention the title of this video. That was kind of just me having a little fun with many videos that I see on YouTube with the title that are kind of flipped around, right? What we normally see is how to turn your cards into cash. And as a true collector, I really gravitate towards the videos of people showing cards that they love and appreciate, and it's not about the money they make on the cards. For me personally, if I wanted to watch videos about people making money, I'd be watching channels about investments and finances. And yes, cards, you know, I know some people talk about cards as investments, and certainly some of those are. And I love some of the investment channels related to sports cards. But for me, I really just gravitate towards the channels where the people really love the cards. They're here for the hobby, the history, the sports. And so when I watch someone rip a pack of cards and they pull their favorite player or an insert that they really enjoy or a hit that they really appreciate that will go into their collection, for me, that's a more enjoyable experience to watch than someone who talks about how that card is a Tesla or things like that. And again, I'm not knocking investors. They're a part of this hobby too. There's a place for everybody. But I definitely enjoy watching those videos. Sometimes I'll even stumble across a channel with not a lot of subs who open up some cards, and I'm kind of assuming that they're excited about having the cards, and then they sort of mention, oh, and I'll be selling these on eBay or, you know, this and that. And it's a little bit of a buzzkill for me. But again, that's just my position on the thing. Like I said, baseball card collector, investor, dealer is a great one. I've enjoyed some of the videos from some of the other investors out there as well. So this is not me taking a shot at them. This is just me kind of highlighting that I just enjoy the cards. And so for me, that's kind of what my channel's about. And most of my favorite channels are in the same vein. I remember John Mangini a while back. He had mentioned something where he was showing a card and was basically saying, I would rather have this card than the money I paid for it. That's why I have the card. And I think there's some real truth to that, you know. And so I was kind of thinking about how to do this video. I wanted to make a mail day, but I also wanted to kind of just share my thoughts on it. I don't think it's anything new. You'll have heard all of this from other channels as well. But for me, I enjoy the history, the game. There's a big factor into the nostalgia. And I do wonder about that. I saw a video a while back where they had interviewed a bunch of kids at one of the card shows. This is maybe a year or two ago. And they were asking the kids what they enjoyed most about the hobby. And almost every one of them had the same answer. They enjoy the hustle. And nothing wrong with the hustle. If they're having fun, there's a lot worse things they could be doing. But if we're talking about keeping these people in the hobby and having them, you know, be a part of this in the future, I think a big part of that, you know, for them to stay in the hobby or to come back to it when they get older is going to be the enjoyment of the cards and the players and collecting these cards, you know. So for example, one of the big cards when I was a kid was the Bo Jackson rookie. And if you notice, this card is still popular today. And again, this is not any kind of high item card or anything like that. But you may have remembered a video series that myself and a few others channels did searching for Bo Jackson rookies. And that was a lot of fun because we still care about that. We still have a connection to him. You know, Bo Jackson back in the day, multi-sport player, he was all over the place. This was the card to get right here. And it's still fun to collect and there is that nostalgia attached to it. But if all I thought about, you know, with this card was, oh, you know, I bought this card for $3 and I sold it for $10, and that was my experience with it as a kid, I'm probably not going to be coming back to these 20 years later, 10 years later. You know, I left the hobby for a while when I went away to college and then, you know, went on with other things, but I came back to it. And again, a big part of it is because of nostalgia for cards like this. And, you know, there were a few factors with that, and that would include just loving the game and loving to collect. But I have, you know, attachments to some of the players which gravitate me towards collecting everything from vintage to modern, junk wax, if you want to call it that, anything like that. So for example, this card right here, Steve Suey, this is a card I had wanted for a long time because his son Matt Suey was on the Chicago Bears, and I thought it'd be great to be able to get a card of him. Never could as a kid, never saw this, we didn't have eBay and things where you could just find stuff that easily. So this is a card that means a lot to me, even though it's not like a super valuable card. Marty Schottenheimer, he was a coach when I was a kid, and I really liked him. I liked him on the Kansas City Chiefs, Cleveland Browns, as a head coach, and so for me it's nice to be able to pick up one of his playing day cards. And then we had players who were kind of near the end of their career when I first started collecting. So Joe Theismann, he was definitely at the end, near the end. I remember his football injury with LT, but being able to pick up some of these cards when I was young, I was even able to open some packs from '78. So the Tony Dorsett, James Lofton, Earl Campbell, players who were, Earl, was kind of, on his last leg when I started collecting. But being able to pick up cards like this as a kid of the players who, had been great and, were on the tail end of their careers, although Lofton really had a resurgence with the Bills and Raiders and came back for a little while. But then people like Joe Montana, and James Brooks is another one. He's a guy, you can get his rookie card even nowadays for $1 or $2. But he was one of my all-time favorite players. And so I have an attachment for him and collecting his cards, really appreciate him. And, these guys were the ones that were in their prime when I was collecting. And so, again, these are some of my all-time favorites growing up. And then, Barry Sanders, my all-time favorite player that was not a Chicago Bear. And then, there were things like this, right? Like these Brett Favre's. This is the junk wax era. I literally have probably 30 of this card. Now, because they're so overprinted, they're really not worth anything. However, it was still a fun card to pull back then and to have for part of my collection. And so I just wanted to kind of mention, for me, what that was like. And I think there are a few things that helped me to have that attachment, because it wasn't about the flipping or the hustle. It wasn't about buying a card for X amount of money and then 2Xing it, 3Xing it. It was about collecting the players that I loved. Now, I have the Beckett magazine in the back there, and a big reason for that is because I would feel kind of hypocritical if I didn't say I didn't care about the prices. Of course I cared. It was fun to have cards that were more valuable. But at the same time, that wasn't why I collected. It just kind of made them a little more special when you knew they were cards that were well sought after, that were more valuable. It was fun to be able to do it that way. So of course I would, open up the price guides and have a look at the current prices of cards. In fact, look right there. We've even got Bo Jackson. But right here, you'll see this has a list of all the prices for the cards. So this was issue number 4 in May, June 1990 with Barry Sanders. Where you could pick up a Harvey Martin rookie for $2, Franco Harris 76 for $4, Walter Payton rookie right there, $200. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of fun to be able to go through and see what the values were. But again, it wasn't just about the money. I mean, Beckett had, lots of things talking about, we got Roger Craig over here. They would highlight players. They would talk about the different players and their cards. And so you'd really get to connect with the players themselves, like short and sweet, a close look at Barry Sanders. So you would really get to know the player. They would attach it to the cards a little bit, but you would really, again, this was a way to really connect with the players, old and new. Christian Okoye right here on the back, he was quite popular for a while there, the Nigerian Nightmare, and it just made it more fun to collect. So yes, the value was a thing, but it wasn't the main thing. And in fact, even now today, if you guys watch my videos, I do boom boxes, and I have fun with those. I always want to get a hit. They're fun. But when I watch some of those breaks, and I could see it being a lot more fun if you're involved in the break, but man, the way that they just, it almost desensitizes me, the way they just flip through every card until they get to a hit, show it for a second, flip through every card, hit. It's a little mind-numbing for me. I'd prefer to watch somebody open a retail box and really appreciate the cards over something like that. But again, that's just my side of it. If that's your thing, that's okay. And I have watched some of those, and it is kind of fun to see what kind of hits can be pulled. I also love watching channels like Silver Sport, where they open a lot of product and they do sell on eBay, but they also are true collectors. They love their Chicago Bears. It's like hanging out with friends and just kind of enjoying their rips, and then selling certain cards from their boxes. They're able to put that money into getting new boxes and make more videos, and it's a great way to see the new products, and sometimes they do flashbacks and things like that are also a lot of fun. But, if you look at the craziness in the hobby, the amount that people are paying for cards, it's pretty insane, and it's a major gamble. And again, I know this is not new for anybody, but I was just looking at, I pulled out my 1990 Pro set, and again, these cards are not even worth the cardboard they're printed on for most people. However, when I took a look at the first round picks from 1990, we had Jeff George, Andre Ware, and Dan McGuire. So when you think about it, like, people have already been burned with Mac Jones, maybe even Zach Wilson and some of these other guys. Some of them are going to hit, like Brett Favre hit, right? And so, but then at the same time, we got players like Todd Marinovich, first round pick in 91. He did not hit. That was another one that was a major bust. But you look at guys like this, and the potential is what people are paying for. More often than not, they do not make it. And even if they're good quarterbacks, who have a good career, those cards go down in value unless they're Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and so it gets kind of insane to see some of the prices. But anyway, that's just kind of a little bit of my thought. I'll show, like, right here, this is the most money I've ever paid for a card. It was the Ernie Davis 62 Topps in a PSA 6. This is the most I ever spent on a card. And like I mentioned with Mangini's comment, I would rather have this Ernie Davis card than the money I put into it. And that's still true today. Whether this card were to go up in value or down in value, this card, it was worth that price for me, and I felt comfortable paying that. But then at the same time, I enjoy collecting sets with cards that are worth absolutely nothing, but they're still part of the history. And I showed a video on, I think it was the 91 Pro set, how perfect they are for a binder to look through. And one of the comments was actually to the effect of the binder's worth more than the set. And for me, that kind of misses the point. Of course, the set is not worth very much. But again, if you enjoy the cards and the history, and if you have that nostalgic factor where you can kind of look back at the way things were, it can be a lot of fun. It's enjoyable for me as a collector, as somebody in the hobby. And so another thing I will mention, for example, this card right here, Robert Turbin. He went to my alma mater of Utah State. Love this card. I have a few of this card, but this is numbered out of 1,353. So if you really think about this here, if you think about how many people are fans of football, and then which is a lot, and then you narrow that down to how many people are collectors of football cards, and then you narrow that down a lot, and then you actually think of how many of those collectors are actually interested in Robert Turbin cards, that gets whittled down quite a bit too. Some Seattle Seahawks football collectors, some Utah State collectors like myself, maybe his family, or maybe, he's on the NFL Network from time to time, so maybe somebody who likes, the people they're seeing on television. But that's going to narrow it down a lot. So then you think of that. This one version of this card has 1,353 with a patch auto. So then you think about how many other patch auto rookies he had that year, how many variations, how many different cards and what they're numbered to. The amount is crazy, right? And so how is this card ever going to be worth all that much money? It's just not. And again, unless you're having like Tom Brady or things like that. Now, of course, there are some very valuable inserts. There are some valuable rare cards, even some sets like, what are they called? I'm having a brain fart, but those metal cards, the Flair metal that are, numbered, I think, what are they out of 100? And then the first 10 are a different color. But, even if you have a base or a common player, those are going to be worth some good money. So there are some valuable cards even in the 90s and stuff like that. But if you go to Trading Card Database nowadays, if you were looking up, a Bo Jackson rookie, you've got this. And then there are some like offshoot cards like the police card and things like that. But this basically is only like major issued rookie card. You have Bo Jackson 88 Topps. Nowadays, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of variations and different brands and everything. So you're going to find something. Now, in a way, that's good because you have variety. You can pick the ones you want. You can cater it towards your price range. So that's a good thing. But there is sure still a lot of product out there. It's just a little different than in the junk wax days because you have variations and serial numbered cards along with the base cards. But again, it's a fun hobby, especially if you're looking at it from the lens of, I love this player, like I do with Robert Turbin. You know, I have really good memories of him at Utah State, and then watching him win a Super Bowl with Seattle. I've got to meet him a couple times. Saw him at the USU Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He and Bobby Wagner went in together, and I got to meet with him afterwards and get a picture with him. Super nice guy. So this card is valuable to me, but the price that it's worth monetarily is not that much, and that's really okay because that's why I love this card. Anyway, okay, so I'm done with that now. That was a lot of talk, and you're free to agree or disagree with me. And like I said, I still think there's a place for investing. If people want to flip, right? I mean, if you buy a card and you can make money off it, go for it. You know, that's fine. You can that's fine. But I'm just saying that for me, just collecting and loving the cards in the hobby is my lane. That's the lane I'm in. So again, I'm going to show you a bunch of cards that are not worth a lot financially, but are worth something to me. So right here, this is the Super Chrome Willie Roaf. This is the 93 Wildcard Super Chrome. So I got this, I think, for $1.50. And I'd rather have that card than $1.50. So there you go. Okay, these ones are pretty cool. All right, so I saw Zach and Porter open a couple packs of these. So you can buy packs, and I think each pack has the Hall of Fame, the class of 2024. I don't have any packs, but I did get these two for the Bears, Devin Hester and Steve McMichael. And I want to mention real quick, because this was pretty cool, one of the viewers of my channel, I don't know how to say his YouTube name, so it's D. Vitok. I may not be saying that correctly. But anyway, he lives out in the area where Steve McMichael lives, Mongo, and he had commented on my channel that when they had the Hall of Fame ceremony, I think it was Richard Dent, Jim Covert, and Mike Singletary took him his gold jacket, and you know, Steve, he's battling ALS right now, so he had to be home for that. But some former players and family and people were there with him. And D. Vitok, and again, let me know if that's the way to pronounce it for your YouTube name, but for your Gmail. But he was there, and he mentioned that outside of Mongo's house, there were a lot of fans, including him. The Chicago police had bagpipes playing outside, and he emailed me some pictures, so you can see right here this van that is decorated for that, which is pretty awesome right there. And they had people at the house, family members that came out right here. You can see that, and you could tell that the family really appreciated it. And I had one of the bagpipes, but I can't find it now. But anyway, so I'll show you those. But I just think that's pretty awesome. I'm glad he was able to be there for that. And he wrote a letter for Steve, and he let me know that Steve's wife actually wrote him a letter back thanking him. I think that's just awesome. And again, that's the attachment that I'm talking about. The memories we have with these players. It's an escape from life, from the stressors, from all that. You know, I haven't made a video in a few weeks because it's been a combination of work, trying to get some last-minute family vacation stuff in before the kids started school. My youngest daughter's had a little bit of a health problem. We're working through that. But it's been busy, right? And so having the preseason games and college football starting up came at a good time for me. It's a nice escape from all the other stuff. And again, just the attachments we make with our teams and with those memories in sports. And so for him to be able to go to Mongo's house and be a part of that and experience that is pretty awesome. So, all right, so for my mail day, the rest of the things I got, this one right here, this is a 1996 Summit Inspiration of Bobby Ingram. He was an All-American at Penn State and went to the Bears. This one is numbered out of 8,000, so there we go. Nice looking card though. And he, I think he's the Commanders wide receiver coach now. I think he's still there with Washington right now. So anyway, happy to have that one. Played a few years for the Bears. And then, really happy about this one. I ordered this back, when the draft happened. This is Rome Odunze. This is the Panini Instant Rookie card. It's a question mark as to how many get made when you order it. And then, anyway, it turned out to be 2004 for this one right here. I'm really excited to see him this year. Hoping he does well. I think he'll be wide receiver 3 for right now. But, if he's your third receiver, that's pretty impressive. He was the 9th pick. He was an All-American at Washington. And he was born in my home state of Utah. He was born in Orem, Utah. He even would spend his summers out there with his grandparents. So it's cool that he has that tied to my home state, and really, really thrilled that he's on the Chicago Bears now. And then I picked up a couple Barry Sanders cards. This is the Power Impact Stars of the Ozone from Skybox 95. This is an insert right here. So I thought that was a nice little card for my Barry Sanders PC. And then the last one, this is a 1999 Gridiron Kings of Barry Sanders, and it is numbered, this one out of 2039 out of 5,000. I always liked the Gridiron King cards, and 99 was when I was out of collecting, so happy to have that one for the collection as well. And now, last but not least, we'll go ahead and open the care package from Zach and Porter. Now, speaking of, Porter is a kid who really gives me hope for the future of the hobby. Kids like him who know their stuff and love the sport. He's football, baseball, and I think they do a little bit of basketball too. And so I've had this for a little while now, and I've been waiting to make another video before I opened it. So I am very happy to check this out. All right. So this says, Brian, thank you for being a great friend. We hope you can enjoy the cards as we get ready for a season. Bear down, Zach and Porter. Yeah, I'm very excited for this season. I think we got a lot of talent on the team, and it'll be really interesting to see how things play out this year. Hoping for the best. So we will see. All right. So, okay. I see an Alex Smith. That is awesome. Let me just get these off camera, the tape. And if you guys have not checked out their channel, I highly recommend it. They really know their stuff. They love their stuff. And it's one of my all-time favorite channels. Oh, that is so cool. Look at this. That's great. So speaking of Barry, Pinnacle Barry Sanders right here. We got the Flair, which is, I think those are some of the most beautiful cards ever. And Alex Smith with the, I think that's a variation from Bowman with the black. Kyle Gordon rookie card. Wow, that's a really pretty Alex Smith Phoenix. He played he had that nasty injury. They did a documentary on that. Pretty amazing that he ever came back and played at all. Won Comeback Player of the Year. And this past week, he was inducted into the Ring of Honor for the Utah Utes. He's the very first player to ever join the Ring of Honor. So very happy to have these. And the Bazooka rookie card. Wow, I've never even seen that, I don't think. Alex Score 22 and a Mike Singletary Living Legends. That is fantastic. Those are awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. That's great. And this one too, like I've never even seen a couple of these cards. Topps Magic. That's great. Yeah, so again, they know my stuff, right? Chicago Bears. Alex Smith is one of my original PC guys, and Barry Sanders, just love Barry Sanders. So those are great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. All right, well, that will do it for my video today. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. And again, like I said, I think there's room for everybody in the hobby. And all sorts of collectors, all sorts of price ranges, all sorts of ways of doing it. There's not just one way. I'm just kind of highlighting, kind of my lane in the hobby and what I enjoy about it. Definitely a lot of really, really great channels out there. So please check those out. If you're looking for some good content for people who love the hobby, there's so many. I hate to name just a few, but Terry over at TJ Maxx Vintage Cards, You've got some father-son stuff going on with Broncos Breaks. You've got Hammy and Son. You've got Vintage Steve, Sports Cards. You've got lots of great channels like that. Like I mentioned, John Mangini and Angry Old Man. Three Good Nerds. You've got a lot of other channels that I would say, like Tony Black, TTM. I don't know what's your, look up Tony Black, TTM, Tony's TTMs. I can't remember the name. Bears 9 McMahon, Mike over at the Ditka Collector, Brad 8671. You've got Scotty Tradition, huge Packers fan, but love his channel. Card Wolf from my neck of the woods, the Card Squad, formerly Walkenbach, one of my very favorite channels. Cards in the Closet. Drew over at Clean Cheap Shots. Dustin and Blake, Frank Specie. You've got Game Day Legends. Helmets and Hash Marks. Jimmy Guns. Lions Luck Sports Cards, shout out for Barry Sanders there. And I know there's a bunch of other ones. I wasn't planning on doing a shout out today, but I just think of all these great channels. And I know there's a ton, and you guys know if I comment on your channels, if I engage with you, you know who you are. But I'm not sure if I'm going to think of all of them right now. Purple GT 22. Scott over at Reindeer Studios, one of the most impressive artists I've ever seen. My dream is to one day hire him to do some artwork for me. He's amazing. Scoots Collectibles. Who else? There's so many, and I'm just trying to like bring them into my mind. But Steelers Card 7. If I didn't mention him, great channel from that next generation that we've got coming in. And I think I mentioned earlier, John Mangini, Terry over at TJ Maxx Vintage Cards and Nostalgia, which is just, every video of his is a must-watch and such a well-thought-out video. I would say, I really like Wolf Pac-Man as well. Zach's collections, Zach Sports Cards, a few Zachs, right? Zach and Porter as well, so we got quite a few of those. But anyway, just a lot of really great channels there, as well as some of the bigger ones. Baseball Card Collector, Investor, Dealer, Dan the Card Man, Sports Card Dad. You got a bunch of those out there. And like I mentioned, Silver Sports is just a really great time to just feel like you're hanging out with some buddies watching some packs get open. So, and there's so many more, so I apologize if I forgot you. I wasn't planning on doing a big shout out at the end there. But yeah, definitely go check out those great channels. Look for the great videos that are out there. I know there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of, sensational information going around out there. And hey, I get sucked into it as well as anybody. But it's good to support and check out those collectors and people who love the hobby and love the community. So please give them a check out. And then again, thanks for watching my video. If you made it this whole time, holy cow, I've kind of gone on a tangent. I haven't made a video in a while, so I guess I just had a lot to say. But thanks everybody for watching. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll be back with more videos in the near future. And as always, go Bears.